welcome to the Kenney Show. This is the place where we take a no bullshit look at life's little lessons. Here, together, we find the spiritual glory in even the most wicked hard story. This is a journey from fear back to love and how we can find our greatest strength and happiness in some of the most unlikely places. I believe that if you're willing to change your mind, you can totally change your life. So, are you ready to rewrite your story and choose to live free? Let's do this. Hey, you guys, and welcome to the Kenney Show. I'm so excited. I'm wicked excited actually today because we're going to be talking about something that gets me fired up. Something that gets me wicked excited. And I know I say I'm wicked excited every week, but it's true, you guys, because I get totally jazzed when I finally get to have a conversation with you guys. And I know it's like kind of a one-way conversation on a podcast because I'm just like up in my room talking to myself. But really what I'm doing is I'm talking to all of you. So today's topic is something I get pretty jazzed about. And it is called, You Are a Motherfucking Peacock. What does that mean, KK? I'm going to repeat it. You are a motherfucking peacock. And why this is a really powerful and beautiful and impactful thing. I'm going to explain myself. Okay, let me start with a little story. So, first of all, if you're watching this right now and you take a look around my space behind me, you can see peacock stuff everywhere. Over my shoulder over here, you see my little peacock pillows. And then behind me, you see Lakshmi and Ganesha, and they both have some peacock feathers on them. And then Mother Mary, she's got some peacock feathers sticking out of her. And then over on my bed, you can't see it. There's also some peacock stuff there. So I have peacock symbology like all over the place. And there's a reason why. And there's a reason why it is the heartbeat of my brand. It's one of the heartbeats, right? It's my logo. And so I'm holding up a little picture right now of one of my cards. And this is like a postcard, but I also have it on my business card. You'll see it here, my little logo, right? So this peacock feather, I'm obsessed with it. And it was designed specifically for me. It's a custom little logo that was designed for me. And I'm obsessed with it. And it will probably never change. That's how much I love it. But there's a story behind it. So let me tell you about why I love peacocks, what the symbology of a peacock feather is, and how it actually applies and is helpful to you in your life. Okay. So I once was speaking at an event and I told the story of like I had given everybody out these postcards. And so I wanted to explain like why the peacock feather, like what was it about? And I told this story. And then since then, when I've been on podcasts or I've been at events or like, you know, different things, people meet me and they'll come up to me and they'll say, I'm a motherfucking peacock. And we just laugh and laugh and laugh. And it's become like this connecting thread that kind of runs through things. And I love it. So I'm going to kind of tell you the whole story about the peacock, why the feather is my logo and what it really means to me, and then like how it is woven into spiritual life and spiritual living and the essence of this thing. So I'll just start with some little basics. Okay. So the peacock, if we're looking at it just as an animal, which I'll do in a second, but we're going to look at it kind of symbolically. Okay. So number one, peacocks are very associated with spirituality. And some of the qualities that they're associated with is like self-love and integrity, light-heartedness, like happiness and laughter. They're like kind of associated with wise vision and this concept of like resurrection and immortality. They are known to be purveyors of guidance, of spiritual guidance, and also of kind of having this attitude of being able to like face challenges with courage and confidence. These are all things that really, really resonate with me. no surprise that I love them, right? So just kind of in the spiritual realm, they have this symbolism through all different kinds of spiritual traditions and faith cultures. So as you can see back there, let me see if I can move my camera a little bit. Oh, there you are. So you can see over there's a little statue of Buddha, but there's also a statue of Kuan Yin. And Kuan Yin is the goddess of compassion and mercy and kind of like tenderness. She's almost like kind of like the Chinese, I guess they would say, the Asian kind of representation of almost like the Christian or the Catholic kind of like Mother Mary, the Divine Mother, right? Who is also known to be merciful and compassionate and all loving. And so the symbology of peacocks are associated with Kuan Yin, and supposedly she's the one in that culture who gave the peacocks their beautiful plumage, their colors. And it's a really beautiful story, which I'm not going to tell here, but Google it. Just use the Google and do Kuan Yin and peacocks, and you'll probably find the story of how she gave them their color. It's really cool. And so she basically, the short version of that is when she picked up this very kind of plain looking bird, she held it to her chest, and she leaned her face against it, and then she swept her hand down the feathers of this plain bird, and she gave, like, she created the peacock and gave the peacock its beautiful plumage and its feathers. And if you notice on peacock feathers, they have like a center point, like an eye, like literally looks like an eyeball on the ends of their tails, their tail feathers. And so it's like kind of like this spiritual reminder that Kuan Yin is looking over all of us compassionately with her compassionate hat, which I just love. I just love. And in like Greco-Roman mythology, like peacocks represent like the eyes of the stars, like all the stars in the sky, right? The peacock feathers are like the eyes of the stars. And then in more like the Hindu tradition, she's really associated a lot with Krishna, but also with Lakshmi, who is back there. And Lakshmi is kind of the goddess of patience and kindness and wealth and good luck. So a lot of people see peacocks also as like good luck. So there's a really good vibe, right? There's a really good vibe, a spiritual vibe around peacocks, and they're woven all throughout different cultures and history. And if you Google it, it's really, really fascinating. So that's kind of like the spiritual bent of them. They have a lot of qualities and associations that are very integral to my brand as well, and things that I stand for. And then just physically, I mean, they're gorgeous, of course, but they also are known for great balance because they have really strong legs and feet, which I find fascinating, especially as a yogi, right? So I like really, really, really love that. And they're also known to not just be purveyors of guidance, but they're also known as like the resurrectors. So you'll often see peacocks associated with, you know, the flaming phoenix, right? The mythological creature that rose from the ashes, right? Like the comeback kids. That's what I always say. Like, I am a champion of underdogs. And so to me, the fact that peacocks are the earthly representation of the mythological, like phoenix that rises from the ashes, it's like, all day long. Like, are you feeling me? You can feel my excitement, right? But how does all of this relate to humans and to you? This is when I'm going to tell the story. But I wanted you to kind of have the background so you can kind of see where I'm coming from. So I was talking about how people have often been surprised, right? Because, you know, like with me, you know, however it is that other people view me, I can just say that like my brand, like, and I always think it's so weird when we talk about ourselves, but like me, KK, and then the work that I put out into the world, right? It has to kind of like have this brand or whatever. And so kind of my brand is like blue collar, kind of like down to earth, not about perfectionism, really about like self-love and love of the divine and doing the work. And like, it's all this stuff that like kind of comes to it. But so there's a groundedness and a sort of like, I guess, humility to it. So people always find it surprising that I love peacocks because so often they are mistaken as being kind of like perceived as prideful or arrogant. And I'm always like, no. That's the beautiful thing about peacocks. Let's talk about that a little bit. What they have, I always say, peacocks have confidence, but not arrogance. And that's what I love. The representation of being able to be confident, boom, knowing who you are, knowing yourself as a child of God, as the divine, as the love and the light of the world, but not walking it around like shoving it up everybody's ass. You know what I'm saying? So here's the story. So I was talking about how Peacocks are just kind of like these weird birds, right? If you just look at a peacock with its tail feathers down, and female peacocks are not like super fancy looking, right? In the animal world, it's like really on the dudes to impress the chicks. You know what I'm saying? So often it's like the male birds that have to have all the colors and the special thing and the biggest this and the greatest that, because they're trying to impress the broads. Like they need to get our attention and prove to us that they're worth our time, right? But if you just look at male peacocks, even when their feathers are down, they're just kind of like a weird and strange looking bird. And that's how we often associate, right? I often say that like the people who kind of resonate with me and my brand, they're kind of like, I often say jokingly, in lovingly, all of these like little like descriptors are total lovingly. It's also how I would describe myself. And I'll say they're often like the outsiders or the outliers or the weirdos or the island of misfit toys or the people that often felt misunderstood or didn't fit in or were, you know, like the creatives. And, you know, there's that whole like great quote that, you know, it gets associated with Steve Jobs. I'm not sure who actually really said it, but, you know, it's like, here's to the misfits, right? It's like the misfits, like those are kind of my people, you know, the misfits, the crazy ones, the dreamers, all that stuff, right? So so we are often like the weirdos, right? The little weirdos, like the weird little birds that are just kind of like walking around dragging this big tail behind us. And I do this whole impression, which you can't really give it justice on the podcast, but I'll try to describe it. And I said, like, I'll just be walking across the stage saying, we're just walking around like pecking at shit, like just pecking at little things on the ground, like just kind of eating. And we're kind of weird. We're kind of weird looking, right? Just the human experience, man, right? And then all of a sudden, as they're walking, they go into their right mind and they have a memory. They have a memory of who they are and to whom they belong. And then all of a sudden it goes from being just like this weird little bird to like, and their tail feathers just go into full plumage. And then they're like, oh yeah, I'm a peacock, motherfucker. The first time I told that story outside of my head to like a room full of people just like laugh. I mean, I'm not making myself sound so special. It was just what happened, right? Like everybody started laughing and clapping. They like just loved it. And that was the thing. And so, you know, I have like jewelry, like I have little peacock necklaces and I have little peacock bracelets and people buy them. And I can't tell you how often I get sent pictures and stuff like that. And people saying like, KK, I thought of you today. Oh my God, KK, I saw this peacock and oh my God, I just remembered I'm a peacock. And like sometimes people will just write to me and say, I'm a peacock, motherfucker. And we just laugh and laugh and laugh. And it's like, yeah, like we have to be reminded, like we forget ourselves. We forget our divinity. We forget our true colors. We forget who we really are. And we walk around with our head hung low thinking that we don't fit, we don't belong, and that we're afraid. We are afraid to be what we are because we will be judged or abandoned or rejected. So we keep our tail feathers tucked. We don't spread our wings. And here's another thing. Peacocks can fly. They're not super showy about it. Once in a while, they do the thing. They fly in the end. They go on a building or they go on like a friggin' a fence or a tree, right? But we mostly are like on the ground. They walk around on the ground. They're like big birds, you know, they're kind of cool. And so like a peacock, I always say to people, a peacock was made as a peacock, man. Like Kuan Yin, like gave it those eyes, the all-seeing eyes. It gave it the wisdom and the knowledge of the truth. But sometimes they forget themselves. Sometimes they're afraid to look too fancy pants. Sometimes they're afraid that the people in their culture, their neighborhood, their family, their peers will say, don't you get too big for your britches. Keep those tail feathers tucked, right? And I'm like, no, you are a motherfucking peacock. And you don't have to apologize for being the thing that you are, for being the way that the divine made you, for looking the way you look, for sounding the way you sound, for having the individual curriculum and the divine assignment that you have. Your job is to spread your tail feathers. Don't apologize for it, but don't be a dick about it. Do you know what I'm saying? So that you can totally have full confidence without arrogance. And the way that we move through the world with this compassionate spirit, and just think about all those qualities: self-love, know who you are, know to who you belong. And that's why, like, my t-shirts that all say, like, stop playing dumb. Stop playing dumb about the fact that you are a peacock. Stop playing dumb about the fact that you are a child of the Most High. Stop playing dumb about the fact that you were created to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. Can I get an amen? Because that is the truth. That is the truth, right? And I love peacocks because they're like surprising. And I've been an underdog my whole life. You know, I've had wiser, older people in my life, again, because of where I came from or my history, my background. The odds were stacked against me, my accent, the way that I sounded. You know, people have always underestimated me. And wiser, older people in my life have always said, KK, let them underestimate you. Let them underestimate you. And we just laugh. He goes, and they just laugh. And I'm just like, okay, cool. They taught me like so much about that. One of the other things I love about peacocks is they're natural leaders. They go first. They spread their tail feathers. So it's kind of like Marianne Williamson says in her beautiful quote when she says, you know, as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people to do the same. So anytime you spread your peacock feathers, remember, this is not about being fancy and up in your face and being arrogant. This is about being confident and true to yourself and who you are. So when you just come right out and you like tail feathers out, other people all of a sudden also have the memory of God and God's love and source and the universe and spirit and who they are, right? And they're like, oh my God, me too. And when everybody is standing in the light and the love of they are, with their wings ready to fly and with their tail feathers out, then it is a miraculous and it is a magical and a mystical thing. And I'm all for it. Like, I'm all for that world. And so that's what I love. Like, peacocks are true leaders. They go first and show their true colors, and they give other people. They're not giving the permission. They're just showing you what's possible. When you stand in the truth of knowing yourself, all things become possible. And they kind of have this thing about peacocks is, you know, they move from different states, right? They kind of go from tail feathers down, weird little bird, and then it's like, whoop, oh yeah, I'm a peacock. I'm a fucking peacock, right? And so it's kind of this like essence of like in storytelling, I would say, of like just kind of letting your past be a lesson and not a burden. Letting your past and where you came from and who you are and how you were made and what you've been through, we let it be a lesson, right? That's the whole process of your story to your glory. You think you're this weird little peafowl bird, but you remember in your glory, in your most glorious state, I am a child of God. I am a motherfucking peacock. And that's the thing, right? So peacocks are kind of the representation of how we move through the world. And I've also I just love animals. You guys know that. If you've known me for more than probably 10 minutes, you know that I'm a hardcore animal lover. I just love them so much. And I love birds. And I love this concept of birds having a nest that they build, that they build nests for their young, that they build these safe little places that people can come back to. And that's kind of the essence of, you know, that I do as the work that I do as a spiritual mentor. You know, in A Course in Miracles, it says, you know, like the overarching kind of name of my brand is like fearless flow. And the process that I use when I'm working with clients is called your story to your glory. And so when I'm working one-to-one with clients or in a group or in a program or a course or whatever the thing is, I'm always trying to create this safe place where they are going to be held, you know, without judgment, that they are able to tell their stories and to revision and rewrite their stories so they can go out into the world and start to relive their story from a place of love instead of fear, from a place of spirit instead of the ego. And that's the transformation that happens. And nothing to me is, well, I shouldn't say nothing. I will just say that to me, one of the most powerful images of that is when this weird little bird all of a sudden remembers itself and it goes on full display, you know, just like full display in its beauty and its brilliance, like the kaleidoscope colors, which says, I'm not just this one thing, right? It appears that I am here in this human body, but I am the representation of the spirit that never dies. Right? I am the earthly representation of the phoenix from the ashes, of immortality and resurrection, that no matter what happens to me, I will rise. I will come back. I am a comeback kid, right? I am the underdog. That's why I say I believe that peacocks are like the representation of like the underdogs and their strength. And again, going back to that, being able to face challenges with courage and confidence, not relying just on your own strength, although they do have really strong legs and feet. And they have also these metatarsal, like little hooks on the backs of their legs that, like, if you come for them, they will defend, like those they love. They will defend themselves, right? Like they're a really incredible bird, right? I just think they're so incredible. And so that's the heartbeat. Like that's where the brand comes from. It's where the logo comes from. It's why I love it so much. And we could dive more into it, but I don't think you really need, I think I made my point. I think you get where I'm coming from, right? So the spiritual aspects of the peacock, right? The different traditions that have always honored it and seen it as kind of like a royal bird. And I love that. I love this idea. I always say to people, like, you know, your true parents are the divine. You know, your earthly parents, man, they're gonna make some mistakes. They're going to do the best they can. But we remember where we really come from, right? The lineage, the royalty that we really come from. It's something else. And I think what more magnificent creature than a peacock to represent the truth of us, the true colors. And I just want to keep encouraging you to show your true colors, to go first, to let other people see you. You cannot miss a peacock. You walk in a room, you cannot miss a peacock. They are not afraid to be seen. And they are not afraid to use their symbolic voice of those tail feathers. Like, yeah, I am here. See me, right? There's no mistaking who you are. And that is kind of the gift that we want to give to each other. I see you. I recognize you. You are a fellow peacock. Amen. And all glory. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's amazing. And so one of the things that I'm working on that I'm really inspired about and excited about is, and let me just say this, first of all, if you know somebody who has forgotten their peacockness, if you can think of somebody who might be struggling right now, who's kind of stuck in it, who's in it, you know what I mean? Who's feeling down, or they're feeling depressed, or they're feeling disconnected from source or themselves, or they're kind of a little lost right now. If they are just way over identifying with the weird little bird part, right? Share this episode with them. Share this episode with them. Put it out there. Let them remember. Right? It's like a little love note, a little birdie peacock love note that you can send to them from my heart to theirs, from your heart to theirs. Let them remember who they really are. Remind them, you are a motherfucking peacock, right? Don't be shy about it. And if you don't swear, you can say, you're a gosh dang peacock. I sometimes like non-sweary words better. Sometimes they crack me up. So yeah, so you can share this with them. Another thing that's happening is, you know, I used to have a Facebook group called MF'n, like motherfucking peacocks. And I ended up closing it down because it wasn't quite the vision. I'm like, there's something I'm trying, there's like a pulse here. There's something that was arising in my consciousness. And I'm sure my spiritual team was clear, but maybe I didn't quite get the full thing. But I started to see that people really loved kind of having that connecting thread. And then, of course, the people I work with in one-to-one work, you know, there's this connecting thread of, I always say it like this, like when my clients are done with their time with me. So whether they're working with me for 3 months, or they renew for 6 months, or they work with me for a year, you know, we talk about this concept of like, oh, the birds are leaving the nest. And I've always thought, like, man, wouldn't it be amazing if I had a place that felt like a safe little nest for all my whatever you want to call yourselves, right? The people who follow my content, the fans, you know, as they say, the fans, the friends, the followers, the people who listen to the podcast, the people who have worked with me, the people who have come to the old New Hampshire yoga retreats, have come to the Fearless Flow transformational spiritual retreats, who have done a workshop with me, yoga and writing over the years, or you were one of my longtime yoga students, right? I've been a yoga teacher for over 20 years, if you guys can believe it. It's so crazy. I started teaching in 1999. I'm like, whoa, I'm hitting the old crone years, you guys. So I've always thought, like, wouldn't it be amazing to have this little hub, a place where people can come together for spiritual community and spiritual connection, and to implement and integrate all these things that I'm always talking about, a place where others can walk along beside you. And that was the thing I was saying about peacocks, right? That their confidence doesn't come from them relying on the fact, oh, I'm just a bird, right? It's this concept, and I'm thinking conceptually now, right? Visually, right? More like symbolically, is that they rely on the strength of their source. And I thought, wouldn't it be amazing to create a space where they could go to one source for convenient, right, content and connection and spiritual community? And I just thought, oh my God, I want to create this place. And I'm like, what should I call it? And I'm like, I'm going to call it the nest. The nest. And it's like, I just love the symbology of being held in a nest, and how baby birds are born in a nest, and it's where they're nurtured and they're nourished, and where birds can come back to the nest, right? When they're learning and growing and testing their wings, or when their wings are injured, they have a safe place to retreat to come home to. So this is the new project that I'm working on. It's going to be a monthly membership called The Nest. And I'm going to be opening up because, the month of May, if you've been listening to this, or if you know me personally, May can be a pretty intensive month with, my mom's anniversary of my mother's death, and then Mother's Day, and then my mother's birthday. And I said, May is the perfect time to create something. It's kind of like that phoenix rising from the ashes. It's a love letter to my mom. And it's like creating a safe place, because she could not, she, as you guys know, she died in a really violent and brutal way. And I wish I could have created a protective and safe place for her. And so this is kind of like the legacy work. And I know, like, look, when I die, I don't have human kids. When I die, like, that's it. Like maybe some things I've said along the way, some books I've been written, like something will linger here in the world. But mostly what I want to linger is my love and my light and my laughter. You know what I mean? So creating a space that honors my mom. So I want to launch this thing in May. That's my goal. Is to open up a founding members launch. If that's something that interests you, like, totally hit me up. Send me a DM, send me an email at Kenney, KENNEY.com. Send up a flare, as I say, reach out, share this with somebody who might be interested in joining a monthly membership that is surrounded on all these qualities that I've been talking about, where you can go to spread your wings and be seen, and to encourage others to spread their wings, because this is how we do it. I don't want this stuff that I love and I'm so passionate about to end with me. I work with people not just so that they can heal themselves. I always say, if your self-help ends with helping yourself, then it is not complete, right? So I do this work to pass on this work with other people so they can step fully into their selves, their leadership, their resurrection, coming back from their stories to their glory. And then they tell two friends and they help two friends. And this is how we do it, people. This is how we heal the world. This is how we get through things like we're getting through right now, is we do it together. So that's what I got for you guys today. All right. The wisdom, the symbolism, the spirituality of the peacock, why I love it so much, what it represents: self-love and honor and integrity and happiness, and being able to face challenges with courage and confidence, and their wise vision and their spiritual guidance and their resurrection and immortality, right? The all-seeing eyes, and being able to be leaders and to show your true colors, and to use your past not as a burden, but as a lesson or a blessing or a guiding way for the people who are coming up behind you. To move through the world with nothing to attack, defend, or prove, but to move through the world with confidence and not arrogance. And it all takes us back to that memory, that simple memory of when we go into our right mind and we remember our source, we remember our God of your own understanding. When you remember the love and the light and the spirit that you are, and you remember, oh my God, I am a motherfucking peacock. Yes, you are, my brothers and sisters. Yes, you are. And I hope to see you. I hope you join us in the safety and the celebration and the community and the connection and the convenience of the nest. All right, until I see you next time, thank you so much for listening. For those of you who have commented on my posts about my mom, sent me personal messages, have left me such beautiful support of my writing of her and my remembrance of her and like all that stuff. You guys, it means the world to me. It means so much to me. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. I just can't even thank you enough for your kindness. So just know that I feel you. I feel that love. And I am receiving it deeply. I'm getting better. I'm getting better every day at being able to receive and embody that love. some of that is because of the work that I'm doing with my friend Marianne. If you have not listened to the previous episode with Marianne C, go check that sucker out. It's powerful. So I feel your love. I receive your love. I see you. I hear you. I celebrate you. I appreciate you. Wherever you go, may you be a blessing. Bye. Hey, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Karen Kenney Show. I super duper appreciate your time, friendship, and support. And look, if something that I shared from my heart today somehow landed in yours, I'd love to hear about it. So please tag me on Facebook or Instagram or IG stories or wherever the cool kids are hanging out these days, and let me know what your favorite part was or what you found most helpful. You can find me over at Karen Kenney Live. That's Karen, KENNEYLIVE. And if you're digging what I'm saying and you want to hear more, I'd be wicked grateful if you could go to iTunes and subscribe and leave a review, because you guys, that's how you'll help me to keep spreading the love. And if you can think of someone that could benefit from hearing this episode, please share it with them. I'd also love to stay connected with you. So if the feeling is mutual, please go to KarenKenney.com/freebie and download my free guide to building your spiritual team. Until next time, my brothers and sisters, keep living in the fearless flow. Know that I see you, I appreciate you, and I love you. And wherever you go, may you be a blessing.